Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of the John Morris Show. So my last video I did about what pro developers do, I got this comment. It says, John, I feel like you're encouraging a lot of mediocre thinkers to become mediocre programmers. We have an industry flooded with mediocrity and uninspired, undriven people who should be doing something else but not programming. For every 100 resumes I see, maybe 10 at most are good. If you weren't programming before the age of 15 or have some other comparable skill, you will likely be a horrible programmer. All right, so I wanted to talk about this because, well, for two reasons. First off, I've said before, whenever you get stuff like this, you should always kind of strip away all the nonsense, which there's a lot here, and try to find the nugget of value. If there's anything that you can learn from it or take from it to help you grow. That's the way I deal with really both positive and negative comments I get, whether it's YouTube, email, whatever. Is always try to find if there's any sort of value. But you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to understand how to strip away what's nonsense and what's not. Because it's really easy to just react to what you don't automatically agree with or what doesn't feel right to you. And that can actually cause you to miss some good stuff. So again, I want to go through and assess how I do this. Now, before I get into this, if I were to take like a paragraph and put it in the dictionary next to know-it-all, I really think this would be the one, because this is so class, especially given the way the thread developed. Like, this dude ended up becoming a YouTube expert at some point, even though he has like almost no YouTube videos uploaded. Like, he just is an expert in everything apparently, and that's a telltale sign of a know-it-all. But there's some others in here that I want to pull out of here, and of course deal with the content, but also show you how to deal with these sorts of comments, no matter what they are. So the first part that I want to look at is, yes, we have an industry flooded with mediocrity, blah, blah, blah. How do you know that? Now, what he references is, for every 100 resumes I see, maybe 10 at most are good. Okay, but that says nothing about the industry. That says maybe something about the company you work at or the companies you've worked at, depending on how big they are and how many other people are in a position like you and how many resumes they're taking, etc. But all it really says anything about is your own personal experience, right? And there's a reason why anecdotal evidence is not taken as fact, because quite literally someone else from your very own company or from another company in that same industry could come along and say, well, of the 100 resumes I see, maybe 99 of them are good. Okay, so how do you resolve that? Like, logically, you can't, because it's anecdotal. That's why anecdotal evidence is not taken as fact. And when I asked for evidence to support this, all I was given was my direct observations. That is a telltale sign of nonsense and of someone being a know-it-all. When they tried to take their own experience and state it as if it's fact for a wider, broader sort of context. So he's taken his very limited experience at the company or companies he's worked at and trying to make a statement as fact about the whole industry. It doesn't work unless you have data to support it. And he doesn't. Well, he didn't provide it. I asked several times and it was not provided. And my guess is because he's never looked at it. And a lot of times what you'll find then is if you do call somebody on that, they'll do that, oh, I'm going to go now Google it. So they already have the opinion, and now they go look for data to try and support it. Again, that's a classic telltale sign of someone who's a know-it-all. Your assessment of what is fact should be based off of data that you've seen. Like, it should come from the data, not I have an opinion and then I'll find data to support it. That is exactly how you get into cherry-picking data. And it is what leads to false assumptions and false assertions and so forth. So very obvious that this is someone who's being a know-it-all, who doesn't have data to support what they're saying, who wants their opinion to be taken as if it's fact and wants everybody to listen to them because I've been in the industry for 30 plus years. It doesn't matter. That means nothing. I'm sorry, but having been in the industry does not mean that you know the industry is flooded with mediocrity. It doesn't. You need data to support that assertion, period. You could have been in the industry 1,000 years. You need data to support it, and you don't have it. So you can't state it as if it's fact. You can say, in my experience, in my opinion, right? But that you're not doing that. You're stating it as if it's fact. Now, if we want to play the anecdotal game, you say for every 100 resumes I see, maybe 10 at most are good. I've been a hiring manager. I've had to hire people in several different industries. And my anecdotal experience, which really means nothing, but since we're doing this, 1 out of 10 being good is really not all that off, right? When I worked in sales, we would take 30 or 4 resumes. We'd interview like 3 or 4 of those people. That was common. It was the same in the restaurant industry. So that doesn't really seem all that off. So maybe every industry is flooded with mediocrity. Well, that's just the way it goes. So again, even the data, the little bit of kind of data that is provided, which still I don't know that I trust or not, and it's very limited, it doesn't really seem like it's all that compelling. Now, the second part of this is, if you weren't programming before the age of 15 or have some other comparable skill, you'll likely be a horrible programmer. Again, where does that come from? I asked for data. No data was provided. You know why? I guarantee there's no data for that. That is clearly an opinion being stated as if it's fact. And again, when I called him on it and asked for data, all he did was reference how long he's been coding and his direct observations. Okay, I guess, but that doesn't mean that it's a fact. That doesn't mean that it makes any damn sense. Like, maybe you work at a crappy company and you get crappy resumes, or you're some jaded know-it-all, right? There's lots of reasons why your direct observations could be skewed. And this idea that you have to have started coding at 15 in order to be any good is silly. No, what you have to do is you have to put in the work to learn the skills. You have to develop standards for yourself, right? You have to be responsible. You have to care. You have to be passionate. Now, at one point in the thread, he does mention being passionate, and I 100% agree with that. But that's way more important than how old you are, right? There's plenty of 15-year-olds out there coding who aren't passionate about coding and aren't going to get into coding. So the only thing it does is give you a little bit more of an advantage because you started earlier. Yes, that is an advantage, of course. But that doesn't mean that if you didn't start at 15 that you can't be good. So let me just say this very straight. In my opinion, so you can take that for what it's worth, but in my opinion, the notion that you can't be a good developer if you didn't start coding when you were 15 is stupid. Pure and simple. There's literally no connection there. Anybody can be good at development if you put in the work, if you learn the skills, if you have standards, if you're passionate about it. You can be good at it. And there's plenty of 12-year-old prodigy coders out there who don't and won't do that stuff. So to me, this is all just a lot of know-it-all drivel, except for one thing. And that is, there is a small point in here buried under all of this that you really have to dig out, that I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he was meaning here, which is you do have to put in the work and learn the skills. Now, anybody can do that, any age, but you still have to do it. You have to care. You have to be passionate. You have to be concerned with mastery. It's easy to get caught up in, I want this to be my livelihood. I want to make money doing this. How can I do that sort of thing? And that's all fine, right? That can be part of it. But underneath all of it, there has to be a passion for learning, a passion for mastery. You really do have to care about this stuff. Because if you don't, you'll never put in the work that's necessary to be really great at it. You'll never, be concerned with mastery so much that you're willing to go back and go through all these fine details of something that you may have learned, that you'll just never do everything that's necessary to be truly great. So you really do have to care. You really do have to be passionate, and then you have to put in the work and actually learn the skills, which if I can be as charitable as I can be, I think is what he was getting at. Now, of course, all of this is why I think you should enroll in my PHP 101 course, because it's going to teach you the skills that you need to know to prove dopes like this wrong, that it doesn't matter what age you start learning at, that if you put in the work, if you're passionate, you can do it at any age, which I've said I don't know how many times before. Anyway, right now I'm running a special on it, $20 off the regular price. The link is johnmorrisonline.com/special. Again, johnmorrisonline.com/special, and there are no age restrictions included. But I would say the one stipulation is I do want people who are serious, who are committed to this, and aren't afraid to take aggressive action towards the kind of life that they want and put in the work necessary to do it. Because I could give you all the teaching and training in the world, but if you're not passionate about it, if you're not really concerned with making this your life and doing whatever it takes to get there, then it's the classic saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So only go over there and enroll if you're really serious and really committed about doing this. Again, the link is johnmorrisonline.com/special. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll talk to you next time.